Hello and welcome back to Eurofootball Daily. With league titles still very much up for grabs in England, Germany, Spain, Holland and Portugal, we have decided to profile 10 signings that could make all the difference. Let's go. 10. Raul De Tomas. Halfway through the current Eredivisie season, PSV and Ajax have scored and conceded exactly the same amount of goals, but an extra draw for Ajax means PSV lead by 2 points at the halfway stage. One potential difference maker is the performance of their respective centre forwards. PSV captain Luc de Jong, arguably in the best form of his career, has scored 14 goals in 17 league games so far this season. In contrast, Huntelaar and Kasper Dolberg have only managed 15 goals between them in the league this season. And with Huntelaar 36 this year, it may be a good time to bring in a young, talented striker. That man should be 24-year-old Spanish centre-forward Raul De Tomas. Real Madrid's De Tomas has spent the last 18 months on loan at Rayo Vallecano. His 24 goals last season saw them promoted, and he has backed that up this term with 5 goals in the league. This might seem unremarkable, but De Tomas is playing for a struggling side currently languishing in 19th. His tally is sure to increase with the former Spain under-19 international currently taking 4 shots per 90, second only to Messi in Spain. Ajax could badly use that sort of firepower during the run-in. 9. Arturo Calabresi. It's genuinely quite difficult to find fault with this Napoli side. They have finished in the top 3 for the last 3 seasons and finished with a club record of 91 points last campaign. This year they have 44 points after 19 matches, the same amount as Chelsea do having played 2 more games. So how do you improve a side that is currently averaging 18.5 shots a game, the most in Europe's top 5 leagues, whilst conceding 10.1, a figure only topped by 9 teams? Well, one potential area could be the centre of their defence. It seems almost inevitable that Koulibaly will leave over the next 8 months, and at 33, the evergreen Raul Albiol can't go on forever. One potential option is 22-year-old Bologna centre-back Arturo Calabresi. Despite La Dota's struggles, they currently sit 3 points from safety. The former Italy under-21 international has excelled, averaging a massive 5 tackles plus interceptions per game. His exemplary performances have ensured Bologna have conceded just 15.3 shots per game, the 12th best in the division, and 29 goals overall, only 2 more than 8th place Atalanta. 6'1", comfortable in possession, and largely under the radar, Napoli could do a lot worse than securing the services of the latest promising Italian prospect for the title battles to come. 8. Sergio Asenjo. Borussia Dortmund have been nothing short of exceptional this term. Going into the winter break, they had topped their Champions League group ahead of Atletico Madrid and lost just 1 league game, leaving them 6 points clear and with their best chance of a first title since 2012. Their squad is packed full of young talent like Akanji, Sancho and Brun Larsen, which Lucien Favre is so far perfectly blending with more experienced heads such as Witsel, Piszczek and the red-hot Marco Reus. But we believe one possible area that could be improved is between the sticks. Current keeper, 28-year-old Roman Bürki, has been a great servant for BVB, finally displacing Weidenfeller to make 92 league appearances over the last 3 seasons. But with an unremarkable return of 2.4 saves per league goal conceded this term, Favre should look to upgrade. One potentially cheap and readily available option would be Villarreal's 29-year-old shot stopper Sergio Asenjo. Despite facing 16.1 shots per game this term, a figure only topped by Levante, Asenjo has conceded 23 goals so far, the same as Real Madrid. In fact, the keeper is averaging 3.3 saves per goal conceded this term, a marked improvement on Bürki's tally. Villarreal's precarious position may encourage him to make the leap, and with a size valuation of just £10.5 million, he wouldn't break the bank. 7. Domenico Berardi. 24-year-old academy graduate Domenico Berardi made his Sassuolo debut as an 18-year-old in August 2012 and helped the Nerazzurri to the promised land of Serie A at the end of the season. Since then, he has scored 51 goals and provided 37 assists in 160 Serie A appearances, at an average of 0.6 goal contributions a game. He has been the team's top scorer in 3 of those 5 seasons and a key reason behind their establishment as a top division side. The right winger has 3 goals and 3 assists so far, already matching his output from last campaign, and only 6 players in Serie A are topping his 3.7 shots per game. He isn't just a shot monster though, with no player in Sassuolo's squad topping his 1.8 chances created per game and only his 1.5 dribbles completed. We're suggesting that Porto could use this all-around forward, already capped 5 times by Italy. They're 3 points ahead of Braga at the top of Liga NOS, courtesy of conceding just 9 goals, 7 fewer than their rivals. But they've only scored 31 goals, the third most in the division, and could use an attacking addition. With the promise of Champions League football and potential silverware, Berardi may be willing to move. 6. Daniel Parejo. 29-year-old midfielder Dani Parejo was released by Real Madrid in 2009, but has become the cornerstone and captain of Valencia via spells at QPR and Getafe. After 2 years finding his feet in eastern Spain, Parejo scored 39 goals and assisted 31 over the last 5.5 seasons. That's an average of a goal contribution every 0.4 games from central midfield, only 0.1 fewer than David Silva's average across his entire Premier League career. His defensive output is also exemplary. This year, he is averaging 3.6 tackles plus interceptions per 90, with only left-back Jose Gaya and Kondogbia topping his 2.3 tackles per game. Factor in an average of 66.4 passes per game, an 84% completion rate and 2.4 key passes per 90, and you have the complete midfield package. 6 points behind Liverpool at the time of writing, it is highly unlikely that the Lily Whites will win a first title in 58 years. But with Moussa Dembele nearing a Chinese exit and Wanyama out injured, Parejo would be an instant improvement on Winks, Dyer and Sissoko. 5. Marc Bartra. This might seem stupid, but bear with us on this one. Liverpool need to sign a centre-back. They may have the best defence in the division, having conceded just 10 goals, but Gomez, Matip and now Lovren are injured, and the Croat has once again proven himself to compete with the very best when fit. Last season, Lovren was brutally exposed in their 4-1 defeat away to Spurs, and once again proved himself the weak link against Man City when he was at fault for both goals in their crucial title matchup. Now 29, Klopp will be wise to consider a more youthful and reliable centre-back to rival Gomez for their second slot alongside Van Dijk. That man, in our opinion, should be Marc Bartra. Now back in his native Spain with Real Betis, after a spell at Borussia Dortmund, the La Masia graduate is playing out of his skin. His 4.4 tackles and interceptions per game has been a crucial component of Los Beticos' excellent start in which they sit 6th, having conceded just 21 goals, one more than leaders Barcelona. Having only joined the club 6 months ago, Betis would be reluctant to let him go. But with a size valuation of €23.6 million, Liverpool should go and fix their own glaring weaknesses prior to Gomez's return. 4. Marcelo Brozović. A lack of competition means that Barcelona have got away with losing 2 games and conceding 20 league goals, only 9 fewer than the entirety of last season, to sit 5 points clear at the summit of La Liga. But it's been far from perfect. 2 separate knee injuries to Umtiti has limited him to just 560 league minutes, and Piqué and Lenglet have both come in for criticism in his absence. But whilst it's easy to blame them alone for the side's defensive deficiencies, they need more protection. In 17-18, 5 separate Blaugrana players averaged more than 2 tackles per game, but this year only Busquets and Lenglet matched that figure. Busquets is a case in point. The 30-year-old's tackles plus interceptions numbers are at the lowest point since his debut. With Vidal and Rakitic both over 30, Barcelona have been heavily linked with Frankie de Jong. But midfield of the 21-year-old Dutch international and a 20-year-old Arthur would leave them short on experience in the long term. Who better to bring in alongside them than Inter Milan midfielder Brozović? With 4.6 tackles plus interceptions and an 89.7% pass accuracy and 1 point key passes per game, Brozović would be the perfect long-term replacement for Busquets. 3. Maxi Gomez. Despite losing just 1 game domestically all season, 8 draws in 18 league games have left Atleti 5 points adrift and unable to capitalise on Barcelona's inconsistent form. They may have some creativity issues, with their 11.4 shots per game only the 14th best in the division, but they haven't been helped by some lacklustre performances from one of their main men. 38-year-old Diogo Costa is currently out with a foot injury, one of 4 separate injuries he has suffered this season, but when he has played, he's been mediocre at best, with just 1 goal and an assist to show for his 11 La Liga appearances. He's currently averaging 1 shot per 90, down on his 1.7 last year, and he's 3.2 from his final year at Chelsea the season before. Whilst it would be foolish to get rid of Costa permanently, the addition of a goalscorer wouldn't go amiss, and that man should be Maxi Gomez. Since joining Celta Vigo from Defensor in May 2017, Gomez has scored 25 and assisted 8 in just 51 league games. With 12 goal involvements in 13 games this campaign, Gomez would be the perfect foil for Griezmann and crucially is banging form. If Atleti are to overturn Barcelona, they may need him. 2. Alex Telles. Not signing another left-back last summer, especially considering their only option was Benjamin Mendy, fresh off the back of a 7-month layoff, has proven to be an error by Manchester City. His comeback was short-lived, with first a foot injury and then a subsequent knee injury forcing him to sit out 26 games of this season already. While both Zinchenko and Delph can do an adequate job in routine Premier League games, the citizens need a natural left-back as they continue their assault on all 4 trophies. The man we believe is the potential fix is 26-year-old Porto left-back Alex Telles. The Brazilian is perfectly comfortable defending, averaging 3.1 tackles plus interceptions per game, for a side that averages close to 60% domestically, but he really comes alive when going forward. Last season, the left-back contributed 3 goals and 13 assists in 30 league games, and whilst this year that has dropped to 1 goal and 3 assists, that is no fault of his own. Telles created a mental 3.2 chances per game in 17-18, but has upped that to 3.3 this campaign. He isn't a fantastic dribbler, averaging just 0.1 per game, but his crossing is incredible. When fit, Mendy averaged 1.2 completed crosses per 90. Telles, well, he averaged 3.9. That is 1 cross per game more than the next best in Europe's top 5 leagues, Atalanta's Alejandro Gomez. What an addition Telles would be for the rest of the season and beyond. 1. Florian Thauvin. Everyone knows that Bayern Munich badly needs some investment. For too long they have failed to compete for Europe's best players, meaning that 35-year-old Ribery and 34-year-old Robben have played 23 league games between them this season. With Gnabry and Coman both having bad spells on the sideline this season, Bayern would be wise to invest in another forward at the attempt to wrestle Dortmund's 6-point lead away from them. That man should be 25-year-old Marseille winger Florian Thauvin. Phenomenal for the last 3 seasons, the former Newcastle right winger has contributed 70 goals in his last 89 League One appearances. His numbers this season are excellent. 11 goals and 3 assists in 16 League One games, with a combined expected goals and expected assists of 0.6 goals per 90. For context, this is exactly the same as another player Bayern have been linked with in the past, Man United's Anthony Martial. With a contract running until 2021 and a size valuation of over 70 million euros, Thauvin won't come cheap, but what better way for Kovac to stamp his authority on the squad than with a big money move? So that was 10 players we think could win the title for some of Europe's top teams. If you have any suggestions or you think we've missed anyone out, comment below. And as always, like and subscribe.